Mrs. Eunice Anefu Apochi. I'm taking you on the course Labor Economics, that is ECN211. Labor in itself means different things to different people. To a prison warder, for instance, labor could be punishment. When someone is sentenced to prison with labor, it means the punishment which the person is going to serve. And to a medical practitioner, labor is like a case of a medical condition of a woman who is about to give birth, But to an economist, it is different. Labor to an economist is a factor of production. That is a means of production. Labor to an economist is the sum total of human effort that is used in the productive process. So when you talk of human efforts here, you are looking at things like the skill of the person, the knowledge, the time put in, the effort put in, the strength that is expended in the productive process. And this productive process we are talking about could be in the form of creation of goods or services. So we can therefore say that labor in itself constitutes the physical strength and skill that is expended in the process of production times the total number of hours put in work. Labor generally is divided into two groups. We have the labor which have value in exchange and that which does not have value in exchange. But this course in itself has to do with the labor that has value in exchange. And so in other words, the labor economics as a course seeks to focus on to study the supply of labor, the demand for labor, the productivity of labor, the reward for labor, the employment of labor itself, its influence on general price level and the industrial stability. And so the topics that is going to be covered in this course includes concepts and definition of labor force. We have the size determinants of labor, composition and occupational distribution, formal and informal sectors of labor market, labor force migration, productivity, industrial psychology and personal policies, labor market theories and wage determination, that is how salaries determine, wages are determined, organizational theories and structure, scope and structure of industrial relations system, trade unionism, that is how collective is labor to bargain for workers' welfare and salaries and all of that. Then collective bargaining and joint consultation, capital theory, new home economics and manpower economics, and the Nigeria labor market features. These are the topics that will be covered in this course. Now we'll look at the concept and definition of labor force. According to Magaji, of course there are various definitions, but according to Magaji, labor force is used to describe the number of people who are allowed by law to work and are ready to offer themselves for employment. So two things are involved here. It means they have to be in the age group that is allowed by law to work, and then they also have to offer themselves for employment. So it is therefore the people who are willing and are able to work. Hence, labor force is the economically active population. That is to say, students, retirees, those who are voluntarily idle, disabled, underaged, all of these are not counted as part of the labor force. Now, labor force participation rate. The labor force participation rate compares the size of the labor force with the number of people that could potentially be a part of the labor force. So, labor force participation rate is defined as the section of working population within the age group of, let's say, 18 to 65 years as allowed by law in Nigeria to work in the economy that are currently employed. Participation rate here is the total number of people or individuals who are currently employed or in search of job. And of course, it's determined by various factors. Factors like the size of the income, family income. For instance, if the size of the breadwinner, the income of the breadwinner is good enough and is high enough, and able to cater for everybody in the family, you will discover that others may not really necessarily need to work. Okay, so the size of income or family income determines the size of the labor force. Also, the level of education. How educated are the people? If, for instance, in a family, the higher the education, the more they will be willing to work, because, of course, they will have more job opportunity opened to them. And then, apart from that, again, it's just like a professor being idle, okay, or someone with a doctorate degree being idle. There is no point. So the level of education determines the size of the labor force, as the case may be. Then also the number of children. You discover that a family with higher number of children will need to work because they need to cater for everybody. But if the number of children they have in the family is low, then maybe fewer persons working in the family will be enough to take care of all. And also job opportunity. How available is the work in the first place? Okay, so job opportunity also determines the size of the labor force. The population determines the size of the labor force, as well as asset ownership. Asset ownership here may affect the mobility of labor. Okay, if, for instance, you have enough assets in FCT Abuja, for instance, leaving those assets behind and going to another state to go and work may be difficult for you, because you may need someone to manage these assets and all of that. So it affects the size of the labor force. Efficiency of labor. Efficiency of labor has to do with the quality of labor. How productive is labor. So when you talk about efficiency of labor deals with the quality of labor in production activity. That is the capacity of labor to produce more output within a given period of time. Let's take, for instance, assuming we have worker A, worker B, for instance, given the same working condition. Worker A will be more efficient if he produces more output within a given period of time than worker B. However, there are also certain factors that may influence the efficiency of labor. Factors like the personal qualities, the working condition, and external conditions. Personal qualities. By personal qualities here, I mean factors like hereditary. There are the trade, for instance. One who have been brought up in family trade, will be more efficient in that trade than someone who just decides to go into that business, because the person would have grown over time, gotten used to the business, gotten used to the activities, the various things, the intricacies of the business. And so you discover that such a person will be better off, will be more efficient, will produce more quality product or quality service than someone who just decide to go into the business. Okay, and then individual quality, like how intelligent is the person, how resourceful is one, how mentally alert is one, how fit is one, and how responsible is one. All of this determine how efficient one will produce. Okay, and the level of education and training. Of course, efficiency varies with one's level of training. The more educated and more well-trained you are, determines how well you will produce and how much you will produce and how good you will also be on the job. And then, of course, the standard of living. The standard of living of one. A worker with good nourishment, a worker with a comfortable home, a comfortable life, a comfortable salary is bound to do better than someone who is still struggling with life, have a lot to do, and cannot fend for himself and all of that. So all of this affects how efficient one can be. And these are the personal qualities that affect efficiency of labor. And then we also said there is the working condition. The working condition under which someone works affects his efficiency. Like the working environment, is the place aired enough? Is the office aired enough? Is it spacious enough? Is it a healthy environment? All of that can affect your productivity. And then the economy of wage, of course. High salary is a motivating factor to one's efficiency in job. And also efficiency of other factors of production. Okay, because no matter how well educated or trained on the job you are, how good you are on the job, if other factors of production, for instance, the machines that are used, that are required to produce. If they are not efficient, if they are outmodeled, if they are not up to date, if they are not enough, then the output of the worker, of course, will be affected, and his efficiency will also be affected. And then also provision for promotion. Imagine working without promotion for a long period of time. You will not be motivated. Your morale will also not be that which will enable you to produce efficiently on the job. We also talked about the other external conditions, external conditions like the climatic condition. Okay, good weather, for instance. If the weather is hot, you will discover that one's efficiency in production is lower. Okay, but if under normal climatic condition, one will produce well. And then another social condition as well, and socioeconomic security, like economic policies, the level of inflation, level of unemployment in the economy, the level of crime and stability of income affect the efficiency of one in performance. And then we also have factors like the political stability. Internal disturbances affect one's efficiency, because imagine being at work and then you are not sure what the next minute is going to be like. Okay, so security wise, so political stability is also very important, in enhancing one's efficiency in labor. Thank you.